Justin, thank you so much for your time today. It was a great honor having you as a client for the past year and a half. So I know you came here to give us like a great testimonial because we did a decent job. So I'm going to start firing up the questions if you don't mind.
Let's do it. Sure, let's do it.
Can you tell us how our partnership started and what problems you were facing before we began working together?
Sure. We'd actually used a couple different agencies. I think actually about three different agencies, and they weren't awful, but they weren't great. They weren't definitely weren't great. And the main thing is that just getting information out of them was always kind of a struggle. And the other thing is we wanted to also own a lot of our own data. We wanted to have a little bit more control, and we also wanted more of a custom site. And so the two main things that we looked for when moving to, we're looking for you and we were interviewing companies such as yourself, is we were looking for somebody who's going to do an excellent website that, we thought we could work with, but also that we owned, and then also SEO. So in our, I'm in the, Fort Worth, Dallas market. It's incredibly competitive. And so this is, I think it's one of the most competitive markets out there. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but we've kind of got the proof is that we've got a very competitive market in my industry. And so to hold that front page or that first page is really important, because if you're not on it, the leads just don't come in. So we need to find somebody that's really good at SEO and really good at a website that was built for SEO.
And the problems you faced with previous companies, like what did they have a limited templated websites? Was the site speed an issue? And how were your rankings before us?
Sure, kind of all the above. I mean, just they kind of gave us their information, but we could never really get granular or see it for real. In other words, they told us how to think, and I didn't like that. They were like, "Hey, this is how we're doing for you." I'm like, "Well, can I see that somewhere else?" And it was always their data in their metrics and how they thought we should think or we should operate versus, maybe some outside. How does SEMrush feel about you, or how does your site speed? And so yeah, we were struggling with all the above. And there are days where we do very well with mobile versus desktop, and then vice versa. There were days where we would do very well in a very small segment, but we were trying to reach more of that Fort Worth, Dallas area. And so like I said, they would show where we're number one in an area that we didn't even want to be number one in, or where it just wasn't a lot of leads. Like if you're number one in, you know, how to train an aardvark, that's great. You're number one, but it doesn't bring us any leads. It's not what we do. And so we needed to be number one in what we do, and we need to be number one in, not just number one, but we needed to be relevant in the markets that we were important, and the market share that we were going after. And so, like I said, there's a lot of, and I'm not really trying to make slight of the agencies, and maybe this is normal, common play, but we didn't like what I will call, just for lack of better cliches, the smoke and mirrors, mean that, like one said it was, they couldn't show us because it's all proprietary, and they could never show us where they were coming up with these magical numbers that we couldn't figure out. Others just kind of danced around the numbers, and then others just flat out didn't never gave them to you. They said, "Hey, they kind of gave you a lot of, like I said, a lot of smoke and mirrors." We just wanted to get down to like, "Hey, is this working or not?" And we just wanted the truth, and we just wanted somebody that would level with us and say, "Hey, this is working. Here's what's not working. Here's where we're improving. Here's our progress." And we just want to know the data. Yeah, I mean, without good data, it's really hard as a businessman to make those decisions on how to grow your company and where to put your marketing dollars.
Thank you, Justin. I want to lean on that part of the conversation because throughout our working journey, you've mentioned a few times that none of the companies ever gave you like a full life cycle from the click to the closed lead. Can you tell us how Alpha Efficiency tackled that for you and where that ended up?
Sure. I mean, we had to improve our own softwares that you guys recommend, like whether it be HubSpot or CallRail or ClickGuard, or and what I learned from you actually is that there are many excellent softwares out. Like nobody does all of it. Like I've learned, whether even if it's you guys don't do all of it well. You do a lot. What you do really well, but you don't do everything well, and that's true of everybody. And so what you kind of brought to us was the right softwares and the right combination of those softwares so that we could kind of extract that data, but also track it better. Because what we always want to know is, all right, where did that, I know they clicked on our website, but why, where did it come from? How did it, what was, did that click eventually wind up into a sale? Did it wind up into even a presentation? That kind of thing. And so what you guys have done the best job of the agencies we've worked with so far is getting, basically here's our cost and here's our clicks, and then here's the revenue that shows from that. And it's not, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. It's not perfect. It's not an exact, but you've also got the closest that anyone's ever got it. And so, and I think, and it's continuing to improve. So I actually believe we're going to get closer and closer. And so it's not necessarily where you're at, but as long as you're moving in that right direction, which is what you guys are doing, you guys have moved in the correct direction the whole time, trying to get us closer and closer to that number.
Thank you for mentioning that. I really do appreciate it. So
Sure.
the following question on the list is, what did Alpha Efficiency do for you, and how did you perceive the value of the services provided?
Sure. I will tell you, and I don't even know if you want me saying this on camera, but I feel like as far as what you charged us and what we got, I think the value is incredibly fair. And I think, in fact, I think it was maybe in some cases not fair to you, which, but, and I don't know if you knew that or not, but I feel like, I mean, your average agency charges what, 100, 120, $150 an hour, ballpark around there. And I think you probably do the same. I don't, but I think that I believe when we looked at the total hours at what you guys gave us, I don't think you guys made that. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to listen to this to try to get over on you guys. My point is, there are things that you guys did because you had promised or made commitments to get done. And even though you were at your hour limit, what most agencies would do is say, hey, we promised you this, but we're already maxed out an hour, so we can't do it, or we have to wait till next month to do it, or you need to increase your budget. And you guys, the difference with you guys and everybody else is you made a promise and then you did it. And you didn't come back and ask for more money because you didn't come back and say, hey, we'll do it next month because we're out of budget this month, which is what I was used to hearing consistently from everybody else. You guys just kind of came through and said, listen, this is a commitment we made to this company. We're just going to get it done. And I don't, and I know you guys went over on hours. Again, that's not, I don't run your business, you do. And I'm not encouraging you guys to do that, but what I was impressed with was that rather than come back and ask me for more money, rather than say, hey, it's going to be another 2 months because you're already maxed out on your hours this month, you guys just went and got the projects done and got them done for us. And I appreciated that. So it made me feel comfortable with my spend with you. And so I think that's really important because that's not how most agencies work. Most agencies will say, hey, you have so many hours, you have 20 hours a month with us, you're already at that, and we can't, we can't get this, we can't, complete the promise we made. We told you we're going to get done, but sorry, we can't. And so I think when it comes to IT in general, and I don't know why this is, but my general rule that I've found is that they just never come through on their completion dates. Like just like when somebody's saying, not necessarily you guys, but if somebody says, hey, we're gonna have this upgrade, we're gonna have all this new technology come this date or this time, they rarely fulfill those dates. And that's true across many softwares I've worked with. They almost never meet that deadline. And I just scratch my head going, why do they even give them? Because it seems like they're always falling short. And I think with you guys were willing to admit to it. So you were like everybody else, but you actually did the right thing by saying we made the promise, we're getting it done. So if you guys made a mistake, which every single company and human being will make in this world, if you guys made a mistake, you guys made up for it. You guys admitted it, and you guys said, we will fix this, we'll make this right. And you did.
Thank you for mentioning that. So
Sure.
this leads me to the following question. How was working with us in terms of communication, transparency, seeing the data? And if you could tell us, like, I think you already mentioned that, but how is the difference of working with Alpha Efficiency team versus the other teams?
I guess I can kind of split this up. Like with one team that I worked with prior to you, it was a lot of arrogance and of like, hey, we know more than you, we know better than you. This is our job. Just do what you're told and just do what we tell you to do. Another one, the turnover was atrocious. Like we had literally like a different crew or a different person we were working with. Like every 3 to 4 months, just a new person was coming in, and we'd have to work with them. And that was frustrating as well. So those are two things we haven't had to deal with Alpha Efficiency. With working with you, you've been here the whole time. And I know turnover is inevitable with any company. I mean, I have it too. But in general, we've worked with most of the same people over there, over at your place. You've always been very consistent, so it's kind of neat working with, it's nice working with a little bit of the owner so that I'm not saying you got to be in every meeting, you don't. I'm happy to work with your people, but when I need you, if I need you, you're there. And if I need you to call you, if I need to get on the horn, so you're there. You were also very transparent with your dad. I think you guys didn't hide anything. You weren't arrogant about it. So like the things that we had in the past was arrogance and turnover and kind of smoke and mirrors. And I think you guys have been good across the board. I mean, at the end of the day, the proof, and I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't use Oakley, like proof is in the pudding, but at the end of the day, what I care about is results. So you can say we're great, we're the best, we're awesome. But at the end of the day, I'm going to look at, am I on the front page or not? How am I ranking? How are my scores? How does SEMrush rank me? How do other companies that look at this, how do they score my site? How do they score my SEO? How are my leads? I've got to see results. And so far you guys have delivered those results.
Thank you so much, Justin. It leads us to the final question. What was the final outcome of the cooperation? Where are you particularly today with Purple Care, and where is Purple Care today positioned for 2026?
Sure. Well, what's new in my business is that we just sold. So I mean, we had a company that came in and purchased us, and it has been an excellent. It's weird me not being the owner anymore. I've been a business owner for over 20 years, so it's weird having to answer to somebody else. But luckily, they're good people, and I enjoy working with them. But you know, we had to raise the value. We had to raise the EBITDA in particular. Our EBITDA needed to go up, and we firmly believe that sales is a tail that wags the dog, and we needed more sales. We needed more transparency on how to get those sales, and we needed to be number one in our market. And I think you guys have helped us provide that revenue. Our revenue has increased since we've dealt with you guys. You've increased our revenue, which then therefore increases our not only our revenue, which increases our value, but increases our EBITDA. We have to be more attractive. When you're trying to sell your company, you need to be attractive to get the highest dollar, right? To get the right best multiplier. And so, I think you guys help with sales, and you guys increased our revenue. You guys, which then in turn helps with increasing EBITDA, which is really kind of the metric that most people, or most, especially private equity, what they're going to use when evaluating your company. And so we're still using Alpha Efficiency, and we're going to find out if we can hopefully grow with you guys, and you guys can grow with us, vice versa. And we're going to find that out. But I know that I think you guys helped us get there, and it's been a great transition. It was very exciting for me to sell my company to the right people. And it was very excited for me to make sure that the people that I love the most are taken care of, including the employees out here. Everyone kept their job, even though we were purchased. No one lost their job. No one was moved, fired. And now we've got a really good company backing us. And now our growth is going to be, I think, in fact, it already is happening. Our growth has been monumental already. Like the short time we've been purchased, this company's put a lot of money behind us, and we've really started to grow. And so, I'm hoping that Alpha Efficiency is going to grow with us. And that's where we're at right now.
Justin, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next meetings.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot.